I am honored to be here with my friend Bob Wright of the American Anti-Cancer Institute this morning. Bob, thank you for joining us, brother.
My pleasure, Ty.
So we're going to talk some cancer here, but first, before we do, tell us about yourself and how you got involved in this business.
Well, it's a long story and a short story. I started studying the human body, all the way back to the college days, and I'm a little older than you, so that's been a long time ago. And was always interested because I was an athlete and how I could perform better, and how I could do it legally, because many athletes don't do it legally today. So ultimately, I became a marathon runner, ran several marathons, and so I started studying supplements in the mid '80s, and it was kind of the beginning of the era of supplements back then. And
I was going to say that's kind of you studied supplements before supplements were cool.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And the fact is there wasn't very many good ones back then. People were just putting together concoctions, whether it was vitamins or minerals or herbs or whatever, so that they could make a business out of it, with not much thought to the efficacy and how these things really worked. And so it was a while before I found anything that was really any good. And ultimately I did, which led me to more and more, which led me to other things. Ultimately my mom died of cancer. She went within a week and a half of being diagnosed. And I was there, holding her head in my hands when she took her last breath. My dad died after that, years after that, and I watched him take his last breath, early in the morning. So, and that changes you. You've been there. It changes you when you see it happening to your own family. So that really spurred me on to study other things outside of just, supplements in the human body and what you should eat and what you should drink and all of that, although that did explode later on in my career as well. But I started to study cancer because I wanted to know what this cancer racket was all about. And like most people who go on that journey, they expect to find what the ACS says that we'll find. The cure's just around the corner. We just need a little bit more money. We're moving along. Of course, that's not true. It was never true. It will never be true. But people have a tendency to believe that because it's connected to allopathic medicine. I found it not to be true. I found things that I was astonished by. And so I dug deeper, just like you did, and deeper, ultimately writing a book, and we've traveled along a lot of the same course, through that process. But it really led me to having a great understanding of cancer and actually almost all sicknesses and diseases now. And that's why we're kind of expanding into everything, although we're going to concentrate continually on cancer. But the fact is that we know what causes cancer today. Sadly, oncologists don't really. If you see a cancer patient who's been recently diagnosed and you talk to them, they will say that they ask the doctor, why? Why do I have cancer? And the doctor will give you a minute or two of a rigmarole regarding genes and genomes and everything else, and then finally throw his or her hands in the air and say, well, we really don't know. I don't want to go see that guy. I want to go see someone who actually knows about cancer, what causes it, hence we walk it backwards and we know what heals it. That works, and it works almost every time.
I like that approach, and you mentioned that we have a lot in common. We do. Back in '96, I was with my dad when he took his last breath, and
Yes.
I lost both my mom and dad to cancer. So yeah, we've traveled the same path, brother.
Indeed, yeah.
For sure. The book that you wrote, one of the books that you've written, Killing Cancer, Not People. I love the title. How did you come up with that title?
Well, I had some people tell me, no, don't use that as a title. So I designed the cover for the book and came up with that title because I wanted something that would stand out. I wanted something where people would be browsing books and look at it and then take that second look, and say, I wonder what this is all about. And when you think about it, killing cancer, not people, is essentially what we all really deep down want to happen and want to do. So it may be a little controversial. It may drive 1 in 100 people away for whatever reason, but by and large it's been very successful. We're in the 3rd edition now. We have never ever advertised or marketed the book, save on our website, and we've sold tens of thousands of the books. So we're hoping soon we can actually market it because it's being sold and purchased worldwide now. So we're excited.
That's awesome. I do love the title, and that's what we should be striving for, is to kill cancer, not people. Unfortunately, as we both have seen in the past with our research, diving down the rabbit hole, many people are dying from the treatments.
More and more than ever, and Dr. Brad Weeks talked about that yesterday as well, and you and I talk about it all the time. These drugs, this radiation therapy, are so caustic today. These new platinum-based chemos and some of these things are so caustic that they are actually, regardless of what's on the death certificate, I know you came up with that, but it's the treatments, folks, more so than the actual cancer itself. Cancer is actually pretty easy as long as you know what to do. And again, the tumors, just a symptom, just a symptom. Don't deal with the symptoms. Deal with the reason why you have the cancer in the first place. Most people heal when they do that.
And so you mentioned we got to go backwards and almost reverse engineer the disease, and then we can treat it if we know the causes. So what are the causes?
Well, I say walk it backwards, and I actually wrote a big article in my newsletter about that a short time ago. But, you know, when your oncologist doesn't know, and he talks about genes and genomes, and we know that the big genome study that Bill Clinton said would be the answer to cancer and every sickness and disease known to man is largely a fraud, and you're not going to find the answers there. But we still need to understand why we have this sickness or disease. You know, a lot of people don't even call it a disease because it's just a series of symptoms that your body is telling you that something is wrong and that needs to be dealt with. Actually, in the final analysis, it's your body's last gasp to try and save itself is what it truly is. So I say, here's the deal. Cancer is caused by chemicals and radiation. You can explode that out to many different types of chemicals, whether it's what you put on your body, what you breathe, what you eat, radiation from all sources, women from mammograms, from CT scans, from your cell phones, your cell towers, your Wi-Fi. Cancer is caused by chemicals and radiation, period. Don't we find it odd then that we treat a disease that's caused by chemicals and radiation with chemicals and radiation? It's a fraud, and there's no other way to put it. It's just a fraud. So we walk it backwards. Okay, chemicals and radiation. All right, let's get the chemicals and radiation out. First thing you got to do. So in my book, I tell people not only what to do, but what to stop doing. And it's critical. We need to detox the body. We need to drink the right fluids and eat the right foods and take the right supplements. And I'll talk about this more tomorrow at the convention here, but we need to do the things that actually build the human immune system, which is essentially, as you know, the only thing that heals cancer or anything else. We see people talking all the time. You and I probably know 400 different cures for cancer that people say has cured their cancer. We hear new ones all the time. And it may well have worked for that person. But you know what? If you don't break it down to the fundamentals, that walking it backwards and break it down to the fundamentals, your chances of healing go down exponentially. You have to do that. So walking it backwards is just a way of saying that, folks, we need to know that what prevents cancer also brings about the curing of cancer. And what brings about the curing of cancer, or again we say the human immune system, the healing of the human immune system, also prevents cancer. So it's not that complicated. As a matter of fact, it's so simple that way too many people miss it. They want the pill. We're Americans. We live our lives the way we want. Don't get in my way, whatever you do. And when we get to be 50 or 60, sometimes much less now, and we have cancer, we think that the doctor, who is just revered slightly below God in our society today, is going to be able to give us the pill to heal us. We just don't understand that's not the case. There is no pill, folks, save for these fundamentals, which will heal cancer almost every single time if you know what to do.
The pill for every ill is what we have today, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
You mentioned that the prevention is actually the cure. So we've got, this month is October 2014, we've got Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Run for the cure, or maybe we should be running for the prevention.
Well, we absolutely should. And, you know, I don't fault mostly women, all those women and some men, who go out and run and walk and try and raise money because they have issues like you and I had. You know, our parents, whoever, died of cancer. So they're trying to raise money for something that they feel or they've been told is the answer. But talk to those people and say, well, why are you doing this? And they'll tell you the reasons. And you say, where does the money go? What's the answer? The answer is always cancer research, excuse me. And the fact is that they don't know where that money goes. And they need to know. Because the majority of that money goes into what I call the dark, black, sucking hole that is called cancer research, but it's never going to be seen or heard from again. Those research dollars. Why not put it into prevention? Why not to put it into things that actually work for cancer? Why not have clinical trials actually on foods and supplements? But the FDA, one of the former FDA directors said, in my tenure, we will never, ever do a clinical trial on a natural substance. We won't allow it.
Right.
It's a problem we have in our country today. The actual things that keep us healthy and heal us when we're not healthy are not allowed to see the light of day, ever. And they're not even considered. When this is what God put on this planet and on this earth to prevent these sicknesses and diseases that are largely man-made, and to heal us when and if we get these sicknesses and diseases. And yet they're given no consideration today.
Because according to the FDA, only drugs can heal disease, right?
You know, and they don't heal anything.
Right.
No doctor has ever healed anyone of anything in the history of the world. The human immune system heals. And that's the only thing that heals. True, doctors sometimes can alleviate symptoms enough so the body can go back and heal itself. Thus the doctor gets the credit for the healing. Okay, I'm all right with that. But we need to stop dealing with symptoms and start dealing with causation. And when we do that, you're going to see that cancer, by and large, is going to be defeated. It will.
Yeah, I agree. So we should be looking for the cause, looking to prevent, as opposed to treating when it's too late. Because I agree. The research that I've done, I think it was Webster Kerr, the cancer tutor.
Webster, yeah.
He said that there will never be a cure for cancer from orthodox medicine.
I agree. And, you know, you're always hearing about genes and genomes now. And we know about genetics and epigenetics. Sadly, Angelina Jolie was dealt a bad hand by doctors who simply don't know but think they know. Why would a woman with two perfectly good breasts who carries a BRCA1 defective gene have them prophylactically removed because someone said her chances of cancer went up? The odds are, if you live right, and this is called the epigenetics, if you live right, the cancer will never ever manifest itself in your body. If the genetics is the computer, the epigenetics is the software that drives it and runs it. We now have epigenetic products. We recommend now a supplement that is the only one that is proven to be epigenetic in nature. In other words, it can turn off the bad genes and turn on the good genes. We're pretty excited about that, although we know that there's a lot of foods out there that do the same thing right now. So we've already got that answer. It's already there. We just need to pay more attention to it and actually utilize these types of things. We'll have much less cancer or any disease.
So when you mention epigenetics, you are talking about things, lifestyle choices, things that folks can do that would stop their potential genetic predisposition from manifesting.
Yes, what you can do, what you can stop doing, things that you can take, foods that you can eat, supplements that you can take that change what people think is that predestination that a gene or a defective gene gives you.
Right.
Yes.
Because that's what you hear doctors say. Why do I have cancer, doc? You got bad genes.
Yeah, and it's a fraud. We know that. You know, genes probably account for maybe up to 5%, maybe maximum of all cancers. So we shouldn't be looking there.
Well, and Bob, that's what even the American Cancer Society admits. That's what's on their website. 5% of cancers have a genetic factor.
You know, isn't it sad that people just don't know? And so they take the mantra that comes down, whether it's from the American Medical Association, the American Cancer Society, the National Institutes of Health, and they just repeat it. That's what we don't do. We research it. And if you can tell me that if you sit in a bathtub of milk once a day for 3 weeks and it'll cure your cancer, and you can prove it to me, then I'll forward it. If there's any science behind it at all, obviously that's not going to work, because milk is literally poison to the human body. Most people don't know that either. But we look at the science. So anything you see that we will recommend is steeped in science. It's not because my brother Joe said it was a good thing, or any of those 400 things that people say, this healed me. If it did, I think that's great. But we want things that heal everyone. And that's why we recommend very few things, very few treatments, protocols, supplements, very few, because they have to be steeped in science. The thing that modern medicine says we don't have any of. And the fact is, we have the science. We are natural medicine. We're not alternative. There's nothing alternative about what we do. What's alternative is putting the poison, the radiation, the chemo into the body. That's as alternative as it gets.
I agree. So talk about some of the natural treatment protocols that you have researched that are steeped in the science. Because I know that you do. I read your newsletter. I know that you don't just, you don't talk about something because Bobby's sister's teacher's husband talked about it. You've got the science. So let's talk about some of those.
Well, healing cancer, as I said, is in my opinion, somewhat simple if you know what to do. And it involves largely a four-pronged approach to it. Of course, there are some secondary and tertiary things that you have to be mindful of. Of course, you've got to get all the junk out of your body and out of your repertoire. You know, if you're a woman and you're using aluminum-based stick deodorants, we know that they are directly related to breast cancer now. So the things that we need to stop doing, I'm not including in these top four. These are the secondary and tertiary things that we need to do. And we do need to do these things. I mean, if you don't have enough vitamin D3 in your body, you're setting yourself up. And almost all Americans don't have enough, very minimum amounts.
And how would you get that?
Well, you get it through the sunlight, of course. Sun is...
Isn't the sun bad?
Well, if you listen to modern medicine, it is.
Right.
But it's totally a fraud, too. You know what's bad is the sunscreens you put on to keep yourself from getting the UVB rays that work with the cholesterol in the skin to form the vitamin D3 that your body craves and needs for so many different interactions in your body. You know, the areas that get skin cancer, you think they're where they see the most sun? They're not. They're up where I live in Seattle, in the northern part of the hemisphere. And they actually get skin cancer on the bottom of their feet and things like that never see the sun. Sun doesn't cause cancer. The lack of D3 can. The sunscreens you put on your body can cause cancer because they're full of carcinogens. So you need D3, and if you don't get it from the sun, we know you can get it from a good cod liver oil now. There's not very many good ones left because they're taking the A and D out of them and replacing them with synthetics or not at all. But there is one good one left I talk about in my book, Blue Ice Fermented Cod Liver Oil from Green Pasture, that is one of the last best ones, and it's wonderful. D3, iodine, both imperative. Everyone's short of iodine because we eat bread today that has bromine in it. 40 years ago, we had iodine in our bread, so we get it every day. We have bromine now, and as you know, Ty, we have so many thyroid issues and thyroid cancer today, and it's because the bromine and the fluoride and the chlorine sit on the iodine receptors in the thyroid, prevent the uptake of iodine. You don't have iodine, you're in trouble.
I just did an interview 2 days ago with Dr. David Brownstein.
Yeah.
And he shared this exact same information.
It's just incredible. And you know Mike Adams very well, and so you saw when he came out with quoting the study that said 77% of all cancers can be prevented if you have enough D3. But if you add iodine into that, it's probably 80 or 85% of all cancers can be prevented if you have enough iodine and D3. Those aren't the top four things that I talk about, though, although you need them. You need to eat the right diet. If you're a cancer patient, it's largely vegan. Yeah, I don't recommend meat because people don't know how to buy it. They don't know how to eat it. They don't know how to prepare it. And they cook all the enzymes out of it. And they don't know how to chew it. You know, they chew it 2 or 3 times and swallow it. It doesn't digest in your body. It takes way too much energy. Cancer patients can't afford that. No milk.
You have to be able to masticate properly. That's where you get the enzymes.
That's exactly right. And if you are going to eat some meat, then take the pancreatic enzymes when you're doing that. Very, very important. But you need the right diet if you want to have a chance of success. You also need the right water. You know me, I did a lot of research, years of research on water, because I wanted to find out what cancer patients can drink. They can't drink Gatorade, high fructose corn syrup, you know, all this junk you have out in the stores.
But Bob, isn't sugar? Remember the commercial? The high fructose corn syrup, but sugar's just sugar.
Have we got an extra hour, Ty? We can get into this.
Talk about it.
Well, sugar is not sugar. Sugar, basically, as you know and you talked about, feeds cancer. Cancer feeds in an anaerobic situation inside the cell. The byproduct is lactic acid, which then goes to the liver. It's turned back into sugar, sent back out to the cancer cells. That's why you see these cachexic people who look like they're coming out of a concentration camp, because they've got that sugar cycle going, that cachexic cycle, and they just waste away. And they eat sugar. And then the sugar is reprocessed into more sugar. So another thing that sugar does, and most people don't know about, is the average amount of sugar in 1 can of, let's say, Coca-Cola. It's probably 9 or 10 teaspoons of sugar in there. That's enough sugar to effectively shut down a minimum of 50% of your immune system for 4 hours. 1 12-ounce Coke. If you're a cancer patient, can you afford that? Since the immune system is the only thing that can heal you, we simply can't afford that. You got to avoid all the sugar. You got to drink the right kind of water. And again, steeped in science. There's no hocus pocus here. People say, well, yeah, Bob, I know. I need water. I need to hydrate. I hear that all the time. That's good. That's good. Okay, but where's the pill? They don't get it. Because again, as I said previously, it's too simple for them. Water's too simple. The right diet's too simple. I need something with drugs in it. You know, I need a pill, something that can actually knock this cancer out. And I'm saying, no. You're missing this. Each 12-ounce glass of this water hydrates the body better than anything else you can put in it. It's reshaped water. It's reshaped hexagonal like your cells, so it goes right in. It's structured, microstructured water. Each glass has more antioxidant capacity than all the organic fruits and vegetables you could possibly eat in 1 day. Plus, it's the fastest way to bring an acidic body back to alkalinity that we know of today. So it is steeped in science. And Ty, I can tell you that we see people today, we're moving people to 11.5 pH water, which is very high, and many recommend you don't drink it that high. Most of these are late-stage cancer patients. Say, no, it's way too alkaline. I say, well, you know, I see people taking cesium chloride. It's at 14 on the pH scale. Your body will tell you when you've had enough. But we have seen reversals of end-stage cancer patients with pancreatic cancer, lung cancer, liver cancer, all the mostly fatal ones, sent home to die with less than 90 days. These people are well today. What did they do? They changed their water. That's all they did. Of course, I recommend you do more than that. You've got to change your food. You've got to change your water. You've got to detoxify the body. We have a new detoxification procedure, which is whole body detox. It's called PIOH. That's the acronym PIOH. I write about it in the new edition of my book. It's that important. Precision intestinal oxidative hydrotoning. It starts looking like colonic hydrotherapy, but way different. You know, there's 100 ways to do colonic hydrotherapy. One is shutting a person up with a garden hose in a room, and that one's not very pretty. You know, but this starts looking like colonic hydrotherapy, but it's done with specialized equipment and perfected water. They take water and put it through a 6-stage filtration process to perfect the water, and it's really the secret. And then they utilize the water with ozone. So you've got H2O, the water, you've got ozone, O3, combining within the colon to start with to create what we call polyatomic oxygen. So it could morph into O17 or O22 or something like that. But the thrust of this is that it permeates not only the large intestine and the colon, but also the oxygen permeates all the cells and goes into the body. Oxygen's good for a cancer patient and for all of us. But you know, cancer patients do coffee enemas because they're trying to stimulate the the liver to purge, because there's a portal, a hepatic portal that goes from the liver to the sigmoid colon. You hold a coffee enema in the sigmoid colon, and what happens is you're trying to get one purge. You're trying to stimulate that so the liver will dump, one time. I've done 33 of these PIO treatments to date. I've had in excess of 15 liver purges in one session. One. So it is not only purging the liver, which if you're my age can hold 40 or 50 years of stuff that has been in there that long. If you don't get that out, and we've seen it, if you don't get it out, your chances of healing go down. We've seen women with ovarian cancer, with cervical cancer, with bad cases of ascites, and they just can't get over the hump, regardless of what protocol they're on. When they go through these PIO treatments, because they completely detoxify all the organs in the body, then that ascites goes away, and it is the real missing link to turning that around. So detox, that was the third thing. And the last thing is the right supplementation. As you know from this show, there's 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 different supplements today. And I just ask people to choose wisely. Don't just go to a store and buy something because it's a good supplement or someone says it is. Most of the things you can buy in stores aren't that good. The best supplementation we see now is coming out of marketing companies, whether you call them direct marketing or multi-level marketing. I don't really get into that, but I look at the products now. And we research the products, and the best ones are coming out of these companies. And I wrote a whole chapter in the new 3rd edition of the book on a supplement made by the Relive company. And because it's absolutely some of the best supplementation that we have ever seen in the world. And this is the epigenetic supplementation that we talk about. It not only brings the nutrition, the maximum nutrition to the body that some cancer patients who just eat a good diet can't get enough of, but it really pounds the nutrition in the body while also working with this new lunasin, or this new peptide called lunasin, discovered by Dr. Alfredo Galvez at the University of California 19 years ago. It is proven to be the first such epigenetic product within a supplement that we have ever seen. And Ty, I've got literally thousands and thousands of testimonials on people who have, what have they changed? The only thing they changed was their water, or the only thing they changed was they'd gone to this supplementation, and they're well today. Again, we don't say they cure cancer, no one can say that. But they help bring that body back into homeostasis. They help heal that immune system, again, which is the only thing that will heal your cancer. Get that immune system. That's what PIO does too. Detox, you can actually watch your immune system going like this. So all of these are immune enhancements, and they will really help to, you got diabetes, you got heart disease, you got arthritis, you got any of the autoimmunes, you want to heal, follow a similar protocol. Any type of cancer you have. People say, well, I'm not sure that'll work for me because I've got cholangiocarcinoma or something that they think is really rare, and there are rare ones like that. And I say, oh, well, modern medicine puts about 150 names on cancer, and it really doesn't matter. Cancer is cancer, by and large. There are some things we recommend that are a little different, dependent on where the patient is with their cancer. But you know what? We treat almost all cancer the same way. When I say treat, people treat themselves. I don't treat people. I don't tell them what to do. I basically say, what's your story? What do you have? And I say, well, if it was me, this is what I would do. Yeah. And you know what? It works almost every single time if people will follow it. What doesn't work every time, you know the statistics, is chemo and radiation. Actually, it works almost every time to forward the demise of the patient in less than 5 years, as we know.
You're right.
2.1% survived the 5-year.
Not all that great. Not all that great of a percentage.
I mean, and as you also said, most oncologists would never go through the chemo, nor would they allow any of their family members to. That should be a signal to us.
That should be a huge signal.
I would think.
To folks.
I would think.
Yeah. Got a question for you, Bob. What is, if you were diagnosed with cancer, what does your cancer prevention treatment diet look like for you personally?
A lot of the things that we just talked about, I would perform, and I do a lot of them today. Is my diet perfect? Well, not exactly, but I eat a lot of organics, almost as much organic as I possibly can. I eat a little meat. Of course, I shoot my own deer, so I know where it comes from. I catch my own salmon in the Kenai River in Alaska. Try to make it a point to know where my food comes from. I don't buy hardly anything from a traditional supermarket, because when you walk into one, you look around, there's almost nothing in there that is any good for you. Think about it. Everything's boxed, everything's packaged, everything's bottled. Most of them are acidic. Most of them have high fructose corn syrup and all the other junk in them that is no good for you. So if I were diagnosed, regardless of the staging too, I would go the rest of the way, the rest of the journey. I'm already an exerciser at 64 years old. I'm still an avid runner. And not all cancer patients can exercise if they're very weak. I wouldn't recommend it because you can't afford that energy. You got to go about healing, and until you get stronger, I would not recommend it. Although we know that when you oxygenate the body through exercise, it's a good thing for the human body. But I would go about taking my diet to the ultimate point of organic and vegan. Would I eat a little bit of meat? Not for a while, basically because it takes way too much energy to digest it. I would substitute a vegan protein, and like from Sun Warrior or Plant Fusion, they have got great proteins if I needed the added protein. But you can get a lot from plants, but you've got to drink a lot of it. But I would pound the Relive products, the Now and the Lunar Rich X, these epigenetic products, because they're so loaded with nutrition and protein that I would ascertain that on top of my diet, I was going over the top in nutrition. I would drink, because of my height and weight, up to a gallon of 9.5 and some 11.5 ionized water. Specifically, and I don't care what ionizer people buy. They should care, however. I have found that there are some fairly good ones out there. Most of them don't last, and they won't give you the water they say they will. I'm not picking on anybody at this point, but I say do your homework. You can't afford to buy one that's not performing for you. Your life depends on it. So that's why I support the Enagic Company and the Kangen Water Distributors, and no, they don't pay me anything to say that. Neither does the Relive Company. No one pays me. I do it because we've researched them, and we know beyond any doubt that that's the best water that you can put in your body consistently, and that's where all of our testimonials come from. So I'd be doing that.
So you wouldn't be drinking any diet sodas or anything like that, Bob?
You know, a diet soda is, if you take a Diet Pepsi or Coke, it ranges from 2.5 to 2.7 pH, very acidic. You know, and acid, if you're a cancer patient, is one of your main problems to begin with, acid and inflammation. And we know from Dr. Weeks, we've known this before, that inflammation causes metastases of cancer as well. But it would take you 32 12-ounce glasses of 9.5 pH water to neutralize that one 12-ounce can of Coca-Cola.
Wow.
That's why we're acidic, and that's why we're struggling today. So no, I wouldn't drink diet pop with aspartame in it, and neurotoxin. Listen to Dr. Russell Blaylock and Betty Martini, who sits on our advisory board of directors. It's a deadly poison. You want brain cancer? Drink diet pop. Eat aspartame, NutraSweet. I guarantee you'll get it if you live long enough and don't die of something else. That's how poison it is. But I would do the food, the supplementation, the water, and I would go through these PIO treatments. Like I said, I've done 33. They're a great preventative as well. You'd be surprised, again, what comes out of the liver. I've actually heard of a guy who used LSD in the late 60s. And this didn't happen all that long ago. And actually, that came out of his liver doing a PIO session, and he went on a 30-second trip while it was being purged from his body. Your body will store toxins in the liver if you don't detox your body for a long period of time. And as I said previously, it may be that thing that keeps you from getting to the final place that you need to be with your cancer.
That's a trip, not literally, isn't it?
It really is.
Getting rid of the LSD.
You might have enjoyed it for 30 seconds, but you know, you need to get rid of the junk in your liver. Heavy metals, got to get them out. Got to get them out.
Coconut oil. We were talking about that earlier. We need good fats. You know, the typical diet today, although we're moving away from this, is still, you know, don't eat these certain oils. You know, don't eat the coconut oil saturated fat. You know, you got to make sure that you use the the hydrogenated oils, because that's what's in everything. Of course, they're good for us, right? They're in all the foods. They got to be good for us. But really, the fact of the matter is, a lot of these oils that we're eating are killing us. Talk about the good oils, like coconut oil.
Well, first of all, if you go into a supermarket and you see all the oils there, the sunflower, the safflower, the canola oil. Folks, canola oil is rapeseed oil. It's used as a pesticide. It's poison. But most of these bottles of oils and cans, whatever, sitting on the shelves in there are already rancid before you buy them. They put industrial perfumes in them to make them smell good, you know. Don't eat them. The good oils, of course, are olive oil, extra virgin olive oil particularly. I always like extra virgin because it's the least processed. But you got to be careful today. Like 50% of the extra virgin olive oils out there have other oils in them. So you've got to know what you're choosing. But I like extra virgin coconut oil. And I have a couple tablespoons every day because we're seeing remarkable things with people with neurodegenerative diseases like ALS and Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. And we're seeing almost immediate results with people that use these. And the folks that are listening to this can go up on the internet and Google this, and you can find the stories. They're just rife on the internet now about how these people are utilizing these oils, 2 to 6 tablespoons a day, and they're seeing results in 20 minutes. Of course, you need to do more than one day, you know, to get in 20 minutes to get results. But we're finding that many people are getting incredible results all the way to almost reversing their sickness and disease. And boy, this is a great start because there are no drugs out there that, as we know, help these people. They may ameliorate a few symptoms for a little while, but these diseases progress. Also, we need to detox. We need to get those heavy metals out of the body. But this extra virgin coconut oil, the brain in these diseases stops really utilizing glucose, and the brain starts to struggle and suffer for energy. So the medium chain triglycerides, these good fats that we talk about in the coconut oil, are processed in the liver and sent into the bloodstream, and they go to the brain, and they become that fuel for the brain. So the brain starts to function again and starts to actually be utilized again. So that's why we see the results with these people, along with turmeric. Turmeric is producing some fabulous things for people with these diseases as well. So the first thing I would do is I would load myself with turmeric, make sure you get a kind that the body really uses, and with extra virgin coconut oil, and I think you'll see dramatic changes.
Great information. Last question for you, Bob. Go through maybe another couple of the top natural treatments that you would recommend for cancer treatments, for cancer patients that they could use to reverse their cancer. And again, in light of the fact that we know that these aren't actually curing cancer, what they're doing is they're giving the body what it needs so the immune system works and so the body heals itself. Name a couple other treatment protocols or products. I've heard you talk about Protandim. I've heard you talk about organic sulfur. You know, are those top treatments for cancer, or are they more just a supplement you should take on a daily basis?
Well, they're for cancer, but they're for everyone, really. When you think about Protandim, it's a concoction of 5 different, basically, herbs. You've got herbs and plants, green tea leaf, you've got turmeric, and you've got several other things that are actually very efficacious against cancer, and they're extreme antioxidants all by themselves. But you put them together and they appear to form some kind of a synergism, and synergism is kind of an overused word nowadays, but it's used to say that, you know, when you put things together they work better, like a plant. We'd be better off to eat the virgin plants and organic plants than any type of supplements, but we can't eat enough of them. I mean, you can't sit down and eat 6 pounds of broccoli and 6 pounds of cauliflower and 6 pounds of spinach and on every day, especially if you have cancer. But you need that kind of nutrition. And so there's a synergism in the Protandim, especially for people who've undergone chemotherapy, because it's just a tremendous antioxidant. And someone who's undergone chemo or radiation become oxidized. They start to rust, you know, internally and acidify internally, inflamed. And the Protandim helps that dramatically. And it's a very anti-cancer product in itself. We've actually heard reports, and I've written about a few of them in my newsletters, and I think in the book as well, about people who have only used Protandim for their cancer, and they've had great results. It's a great product. What was the other product that you recommended?
I've read you writing about organic sulfur. MSM.
MSM, it's really an amazing thing when you think it's truly organic sulfur. And when you think of sulfur in the body, most people don't know this, but we talk about the body being 75% water, you know, and all of that. But people don't know that by weight volume in the body, sulfur is 25% of the body by weight. It's in your bones, it's in your muscles, it's everywhere. And people simply don't have enough of it, nor the right kind of it. So we highly recommend this. And actually, we see MSM and organic sulfur as being an integral part of the cancer healing process. And I won't go deep into that because it goes back to this new plant extract that we're developing that's based on a sulfur medium as well. And this is, it's not time for that yet, but it's a very interesting thing that we'll talk about in the future.
Yeah.
But sulfur is incredibly important, and I'm working with a guy right here that I'm going to see here tomorrow. He is a former big-time celebrity, and still is. He's still performing at 80 years old. I won't mention his name today, but you'll be able to meet him tomorrow. He has prostate cancer. We got him the MSM because he had a lot of pain. Pain gone.
Really?
Pain gone. And no one can guarantee that, but we see that. And we see that it's an effective and essential nutrient within the body. So yeah, I recommend it highly. You know, people do the, Bill Henderson, who sits on our advisory board, one of the best cancer coaches, you know, in the United States, he's affected radical change in cancer patients and helped them, you know, thousands and thousands, maybe tens of thousands now. He does the Budwig protocol, which is a good protocol for oxygenation of the cells to kill the cancer. I mean, Johanna Budwig proved that, you know. How many years ago? She was affecting that change in end-stage cancer patients. 90% of them were getting well. There's no drug that can do that. Nothing that can do that.
You've got the sulfur-rich proteins in that Budwig protocol.
Yeah, and you know, that normally comes out of a organic cottage cheese or an organic kefir. That's the sulfurated proteins, exactly. And it's combined with the omega-3s and the flax oil that make that change, that reaction that takes place that allows it to enter the cell and oxygenate. Yeah, but the sulfur, you know, spot on with that. And there's just a ton of other things that we look at all the time. We're looking at Escozyme now. A Native American company out of Idaho is producing Escozyme, which is basically the venom from the blue scorpion. And boy, it's producing some amazing things. We're not to the point where we say, oh, you got to go do this right now, but it looks very, very promising. And they've got many studies. I was surprised at how many studies we saw and how many testimonials there are already, and almost no one has heard of it. Of course, we know about the CBDs, and while we're not actively pursuing that yet, a lot of people have, and we know it's good for cancer patients. But we like to take our time and make sure, because we want to make sure it's good for everyone and people know what to use and how to use it. We see a lot of cancer patients smoking marijuana today. I understand why they do it. They're in deep pain. When you smoke marijuana, it helps alleviate your pain. I know why they do it. But it's the wrong thing to do, because that smoke still has 100 carcinogens in it or more. And I've seen this, and I've seen them die. You need that. You need those oils and the correct oils, but you don't need the carcinogens. And so we have to get to the point where we know exactly what we're using and how we're using it. And when we see that we have a clear and concise trail from here to there, then we're going to say, this is what we recommend. This is the product. We're not quite there yet, but we're close. And if anyone comes to me and says, you know, I'm going to use this, I'll say go for it. You know,
gotcha.
That's what you want to do.
Bob, I appreciate the thoroughness that you and the other members of the AACI go through in order to make sure that you validate these treatments. You're not just pushing anything that you heard about from someone's brother. Mm-hmm. So I really appreciate that about you. You're doing great work, and I really appreciate your time today. You've shed some insights that no one else has touched on thus far, so it's going to help the people that are watching. Appreciate it, my friend.
Thanks, Ty.